It was our anniversary, not a big one, like a decade or anything. More like the we've successfully not driven each other completely bonkers for another 365 days anniversary. Still, a cause for celebration, right? Mark, my boyfriend, who usually thinks romance is letting me pick the Netflix show, had been hinting about a really special gift for weeks. My mind naturally went into overdrive. Was it jewelry? A tiny sparkly thing in a velvet box? Or maybe a surprise weekend trip to that cute little bed and breakfast upstate that serves artisanal jams? I even dared to dream of a puppy, a fluffy golden retriever I'd named Noodles. The anticipation was killing me in a good way, like waiting for a new season of a show you're obsessed with. He finally presented it after dinner. Not a box, but a very chic, cream-colored envelope. Ooh, fancy. My heart did a little tap dance. This felt sophisticated. Maybe it was tickets to something amazing. Hamilton, a private Beyoncé concert in our living room. Okay, maybe not the last one, but a girl can dream. I carefully took the envelope, savoring the moment. This was it. The culmination of weeks of him being annoyingly secretive. I was ready to be wowed. I was ready for my artisanal jam weekend. Or Noodles. Definitely ready for Noodles. I ran my thumb over the embossed lettering on the envelope. It felt expensive. This was a good sign. Little did I know something else was about to melt, and not in a good way. I continued to read the voucher, my eyes still glazed over with dreams of fluffy robes and cucumber water. The Smooth Sanctuary logo was quite elegant actually, lots of calming blues and greens, very zen. Then, my eyes landed on the specific service listed. It wasn't aromatherapy massage or rejuvenating facial, oh no, it was, in very clear bold letters, the full Brazilian bliss package. I blinked. Once. Twice. Surely I was misreading this. Maybe Brazilian bliss was a new type of coffee scrub or a dance class involving a lot of hip movement. My brain scrambled to find an alternative, less terrifying explanation for what I was seeing. Mark was beaming, absolutely beaming, like he'd just gifted me the keys to a private island populated by Ryan Gosling clones. "Surprise!" he chirped, his voice full of an enthusiasm I suddenly found deeply unsettling. I looked from the voucher to his expectant face and back to the voucher, full, Brazilian, bliss, package. The words seemed to mock me. Bliss? Was bliss a new euphemism for feeling like you're being skinned alive by a stranger with hot wax? This wasn't a spa day. This was a summons, a very polite, very expensive summons to get my lady garden professionally deforested. My dream of artisanal jam was rapidly being replaced by a nightmare involving sticky substances and yelps of pain. This was the opposite of a puppy. "Honey," I began, trying to choose my words as carefully as one might navigate a minefield. "This is incredibly specific." I held up the voucher for the full Brazilian bliss package as if it were Exhibit A in a very strange trial. "What made you think of this, exactly?" I was genuinely curious and slightly terrified of the answer. Mark, bless his cotton socks, actually looked proud of his reasoning. "Well," he started, puffing his chest out a bit, "I overheard you talking with Sarah and Chloe the other week. You guys were laughing about waxing stories, and someone mentioned how amazing and confident they felt afterwards. I thought, wow, Priya would love that. She deserves to feel amazing and confident." Oh my god, he genuinely thought he was being perceptive and supportive. The appointment was booked for the following Saturday. Mark had helpfully chosen a time, ensuring I couldn't easily wriggle out of it with a prior engagement. For the next few days, the voucher sat on our kitchen counter, a silent, creamy white harbinger of doom. Every time I saw it, my stomach did a little flip-flop. I started having nightmares. In one, I was strapped to a table while tiny beauticians in surgical masks advanced on me with giant honey dippers. In another, I emerged from the salon completely hairless, like a giant pink baby, and everyone pointed and laughed. My anxiety was reaching epic proportions. This wasn't just about the potential pain, it was about the sheer awkwardness of it all. I debated my options. Saturday morning arrived, cloaked in an aura of impending doom. Mark, bless his innocent heart, even offered to drive me to the Smooth Sanctuary. He was treating it like I was off to a delightful spa day, not a date with destiny and hot wax. "You'll feel so refreshed," he chirped as I nervously sipped my coffee, which felt more like a bravery potion. I considered telling him I'd just walk, needing the time to mentally prepare or perhaps to make a run for it and flee the country. The thought of him waiting in the car, expecting a refreshed me to emerge, added another layer of pressure to the whole ordeal. What if I came out crying, or walking like a cowboy? As we pulled up to the salon, I took a deep breath. It looked innocuous enough from the outside. Clean, modern, with tasteful floral arrangements in the window. No visible torture devices, which was a small comfort. "Here we are," Mark announced with a flourish. I slowly unbuckled my seatbelt, feeling like a prisoner on their way to the gallows. "Wish me luck," I muttered, trying for a brave smile that probably looked more like a grimace. I opted for the most luxurious, extensive eyebrow shaping session they offered, plus a very gentle, very minor upper lip wax. It used up about half the voucher's value. I told them to keep the change. I emerged from the smooth sanctuary feeling triumphant, my eyebrows looking phenomenal and my nether regions mercifully untouched by hot wax. I felt like I'd outsmarted the system. I was practically skipping back to the car where Mark was patiently waiting, scrolling on his phone. He looked up, his face expectant. "So, how was it? Blissful?" he asked, his eyes wide with anticipation. I suddenly realized this was the tricky part, the explanation. "It was an experience," I said, trying to sound enthusiastic. My eyebrows have never looked better. I batted my eyelashes, hoping he'd be distracted by their newfound perfection. He frowned slightly. "Your eyebrows? But what about the main event? The bliss package part? Uh-oh. This was not going to be as easy as I thought." The next morning, the chill was still palpable. Mark was tiptoeing around me like I was a sleeping bear he was afraid to wake. He made me coffee, exactly how I like it, which was a good start. Then, he tried to engage me in conversation about a documentary he'd watched, but his heart clearly wasn't in it. He kept glancing at me, a worried frown creasing his forehead. I knew he was trying to figure out how to fix things, how to bridge the weird chasm that had opened up between us because of a waxing voucher. It was almost comical, really, such a small thing causing such a disproportionate amount of awkwardness. But then again, it wasn't just about the wax. It was about understanding, or the lack thereof. Later that afternoon he presented me with a small, slightly squashed-looking cupcake from the corner bakery. "Peace offering," he mumbled, holding it out. It was my favorite kind, red velvet with cream cheese frosting. A definite step up from the waxing voucher, gift-wise. I accepted it with a small smile. "Thank you," I said. "This is much more my speed." I decided it was time for a full, frank, and hopefully funny explanation. "Okay, Mark," I said, putting down my pizza slice. "Let's imagine for a moment that I overheard you and your buddies talking about, say, getting a colonoscopy. And you were all like, 'Yeah, man, the prep is brutal, but you feel so clean afterwards.' And then, for your birthday I booked you a surprise colonoscopy, with the deluxe cleansing package. How would you feel?" He stared at me, his eyes wide, a piece of pepperoni halfway to his mouth. Then, a slow grin spread across his face. "Okay," he said, starting to chuckle. "Okay, I think I'm starting to see your point. That would be alarming." "Exactly," I exclaimed, relieved that he was finally getting it. "It's not that the thing itself is inherently evil, well, maybe the colonoscopy prep is, but it's about choice and context and not assuming that something so personal makes for a great surprise gift." The tension that had been simmering between us finally started to dissipate, replaced by a shared understanding and, more importantly, shared laughter. He started laughing harder, picturing himself receiving a colonoscopy voucher tied with a bow. "The deluxe cleansing package?" he wheezed, wiping a tear from his eye. The next day, feeling a renewed sense of partnership and significantly less awkwardness, we decided to establish some future gifting guidelines. It felt very official, like we were drafting a treaty. Rule number 1, proposed by me: no gifts that require the recipient to endure pain, discomfort, or public nudity, unless explicitly requested in writing, notarized, and submitted in triplicate at least 6 months in advance. Mark laughed but agreed, scribbling it down on a napkin with mock seriousness. He then added his own addendum. This includes surprise gym memberships, diet books, and anything that could be construed as a hint. A very wise addition, I thought. We were learning. Rule number 2, when in doubt, flowers, chocolate, or a heartfelt card are always acceptable. Bonus points if the chocolate is dark and the flowers aren't from a gas station. This was a classic, but classics are classic for a reason. Mark then suggested, or, how about we just create mutual wish lists on Amazon? Takes all the guesswork out. While practical, I argued it lacked a certain romantic spontaneity. We compromised wish lists for birthdays, more thoughtful but not too thoughtful, a la waxing, surprises for anniversaries. It felt like a solid plan, a roadmap to prevent future gift-related meltdowns. We were basically relationship pioneers, forging new paths in the treacherous territory of present selection. Rule number 3, and perhaps the most important, if a gift involves any form of service on the recipient's body, from massages to manicures to, yes, waxing, prior consultation is mandatory. Mark even suggested a flowchart for this one, involving questions like, is this for relaxation or improvement? And has the recipient ever mentioned this specific service in a positive, non-sarcastic way? I was impressed. He was really taking this seriously.